Welcome back to the LRL. I don't even know what episode this is, but we're finally back.
We all got busy with
School.
schoolwork and everything.
So we
So
finally had to come back.
yeah, I
Finally had
mean,
to.
yeah,
You know
got a lot to talk about. A lot's happened in the past 3 months
exactly. Like we were just explaining, we haven't touched our doc from
since
week
November
11.
5th.
Yeah, since November 5th. So before we start anything, because we ended so early, so the standings were. I went 99-36 on the season. I know it said we didn't keep up with it. Brandon went 95-40. Drew went 93-42. So
By the way, guys, that is clean laundry. Don't mind the grout fit. I just did my laundry and these are the only clothes I had clean.
the grout
So
fit's crazy. Bro's
yeah.
folding while we film this.
I'm not folding actually. I just gotta show him something.
Type.
How about those Buckeyes?
I
How
know.
about
How
those
about them
Buckeyes?
Buckeyes, the national champions? Now, before we spoke on November 5th, we were thinking, man, Ohio State's going to go to the Big Ten championship game. They're going to beat Michigan, and then they're going to have a little playoff, little playoff run. Instead, no. The weirdest thing happened. They lose to Michigan. Somehow they go into the playoffs fueled up. Like the loss was practically what did it for them, and they beat Tennessee in the first round, Oregon in the second round, Texas in the third round, and Notre Dame in the fourth for the Natty.
Got a little adversity, a little adverse times.
Exactly. You're a football player. You've dealt with it.
Yeah. I mean, I've never really lost to my rival, so
Well, I know you didn't.
I did my freshman year.
That's all right.
Anyways. No, we got transfer portal news to talk about today. We have maybe potential mock drafts if you want to make another episode about that.
Yeah, we could do that right after
Just
this one. Keep it
nothing
going.
really like
Nothing too long or
nothing
special.
like too long. Maybe like first round, top 10, big prospects. Maybe even recruiting class. We just got to do a little bit more research.
Oh
But
yeah.
transfer portal, big transfer portal news.
Because you want to know what's sad? Football's like college football is over. That's
Yeah,
that's the sad part. College football is over.
NFL is practically over for
It'll be over very soon.
it's. I mean, the Packers ain't in the playoffs no more, so I don't really
And
care too much.
and
How
I
about those
really,
Browns?
man, don't talk about them Browns like that, man. They're just hey, they got the second pick. That's all that matters.
Yeah, yeah. I saw a mock draft that had the Browns taking Abdul Carter instead of a needed quarterback.
Yeah.
DTR has proved that he's not the guy, and Deshaun Watson's
Honestly,
not even gonna play next season.
the problem that I have is don't draft a quarterback first round.
No,
Um,
that's like a Browns curse.
yeah, exactly. Like stop drafting quarterbacks in the first round. It's not gonna work. But yeah, we got some games to talk about from the season. First, let's talk about like the playoffs in general. Like, some seedings were messed up. I've definitely watched a lot of YouTube and sports stuff, and people complained all the time about it. Like the bracket, like yes, it needs worked on, but it was the first season of the 12 team. So were some teams in the wrong spot? I would say yes, and were others like disrespected, aka Oregon? Yes, very disrespected with that number one seed. Only because of who they had to play right after the first round. Right, they knew who they were going to play.
Yeah, I mean the issue with that is they were the one seed. They just I just don't think the one seed should be playing the winner of the 9 and 8 game. I feel like they need to switch it to NFL seeding,
Yes.
where it's like the number one will always play
The lower seed.
the lowest seed that is in the playoffs. Because when you get, obviously Ohio State wasn't seeded what they wanted to going into the playoffs, but
No. You know the worst part
um
is they would have played Ohio State no matter what.
yeah,
That's
oh,
where
oh, it's like, I mean, they just got unlucky because I mean,
well,
Oregon is a good team. Oregon's a pretty good team. Ohio State's just better. They
oh
were
yeah.
they were probably the best all-around team in the country. I would say Oregon had a really good offense. They had a good defensive line. They had some decent secondary, but
And we want to talk about a $20 million roster. That roster is
yeah,
worth more. Them in
22.
Texas, them in Texas paid more.
Now, like, again, Oregon's a good football team, but they don't. Their special teams killed them a little bit. Um, their defense obviously was hard, but it's also hard when your offense isn't firing on all cylinders, which
Exactly.
is what Jim Knowles brought to Ohio State. But
Exactly.
um, seeding, like, Boise State definitely should have been in the first round.
Yes.
The
And I
way
will give credit to Arizona State the way that they played.
the way Arizona State played Texas was, I do like that, and because of that, I don't have as much of a problem with their seed as I do
Yeah. Especially
with
like the mid, what is it? The mid, whatever they call it, the West, like mid conference West,
Midwest,
Midwest conference. Like
yeah,
that
Mountain
is a
West.
the Mountain West. That's the conference. It's like you play literally nobodies, like absolute nobodies.
The only conference I would say is equally as bad as the Mountain West is the ACC. The ACC's got two teams that are pretty good.
Hey, we don't disrespect on the MAC. The MAC's up there. You know
I
they
mean, but
NIU
again,
beat
the
the beat
MAC is
beat the runner up in the national championship game. Come on now, tough.
the MAC really isn't considered like,
No, they're kind of like their own thing.
yeah, they're like, they get guys drafted every now and again. Like, I
Like
only know the UT
Hey,
players.
Quinyon Mitchell,
Yeah, I only know the UT
tough,
players. That's where we're
tough.
from. But
Quinyon Mitchell,
um,
best thing to ever come out of Toledo, Ohio.
yeah, but I just Boise State was not a top four team in the playoffs.
No, the
Now,
problem is where
I
they
don't think
give the conference
ASU was
automatic
either.
bids.
I don't have a problem with automatic bids. I have a
I just
problem with
have an issue with
seeding. I have an issue with seeding automatic bids.
exactly
It's
because like no
it's
offense, Clemson should have not played Texas
no. Clemson should have played. Clemson probably should have played Boise State or Arizona State because,
or even Notre Dame for that fact.
yeah, I don't think, dude. I have a hot take.
What's the hot take?
Now Notre Dame's a good football team. Don't get me wrong. If you don't play in a conference, you should not be able to make the college football playoff.
True, but they did just prove.
I mean,
I
again,
mean,
I said they're a
okay,
good football team. I said they're a good
yeah.
football team. But the whole issue is you wanna talk about NIL and money and program money because they're independent.
They just made bank.
They just made more money than Ohio State and Oregon did
Well,
combined.
the thing is, it's like all that money they made. Is it just for the football program, or
I
is it
believe
going
it's for the
to,
football program, but you
or
know
is
how
it going to their
you know
athletics?
how you it's the football program, but you know how NIL works these days, where it's not really the NIL fund, it's the
Oh yeah,
NIL fund. It's really just their program money, kind of like bowl game winnings, and but
that's true. I will say is I mean, for every other game, I couldn't complain about, especially like the second round. I mean, there was actually
like
second round
Boise
games
State and
weren't.
Penn State was the only game where I was like dozing off, but it gave
I
me
mean, the
something to
way
watch.
it felt the Notre Dame Georgia game, Georgia just
They
they
came out
weren't
slow.
they just weren't as dominant as they usually are.
They they
They just
they did a lot of what I'll never understand is, I mean, I get when you have a quarterback that isn't experienced at all, that is coming in, hasn't played a snap before. I understand that he's not going to be able to do everything that Carson Beck can do. Now,
oh, exactly.
I don't think Carson Beck is a top tier quarterback. Like, he's not worth $4.5 million. But
Is that how much they
um,
offered him?
yeah, that's he signed a 1 year $4.5 million contract.
It's crazy. Bro knew he wasn't gonna get drafted like top end.
Now he's
Like,
making more money than like it's like 10 NFL quarterbacks. But
yeah.
again, Carson Beck isn't the greatest quarterback.
No.
Why do you switch your game plan up? Like, they're the
Oh,
same
because
kind of quarterback. Gunnar Stockton and Carson Beck are the same quarterback. Why do you try to do things with your quarterback that you would never do with Carson Beck? Like, why
I
are you dumbing down the playbook? Because that's how you lose football games. Because it makes it
exactly.
predictable that you're going to run the ball on first and second down, and because Notre Dame knew that you're going to run the ball on first and second down, you're going to load the box. And when you load the box, it's usually a third and long, which is third and 10, third and 9 or 8. And that's hard for a young quarterback who doesn't have experience. It's hard for him to convert like that because it makes it's a struggle because you're trying to do stuff to try to build confidence for him instead of just letting him loose.
Exactly. The problem that I have is like, I'm not even like Notre Dame. Like, okay, they had a good season. Their offense was like kind of bad. Like their
Yes,
offense wasn't too special.
they had a good
I mean,
defense
they had a very good defense, but a
and
very young defense.
very good special teams as well.
Oh yeah, but
Now again, it also doesn't help that they played the academy schools in the regular season because they don't play in a conference.
yeah. So they decide their own schedule. Do they play all three of the academies?
Yes, they play Air Force, Army, and Navy. It's a rivalry game, I guess.
I see. I don't like that. I don't like their schedule is not even out yet. Like their full
And
schedule.
it's not even out, and I can already tell you they're playing 3 academy schools, an FCS school, and like
A max school that they're gonna lose to.
and like probably Ohio University or Akron because
Uh,
they don't have to play teams that are top of
they
the
do not
line.
play Air Force. Okay, so they play both of the bigger academy schools. They just don't play
Oh
Air
yeah,
Force.
no
So they play
shit.
Army and Navy.
Here, I'll be
Like at this
back.
point, like
I'm gonna turn my
they
camera
want to
off.
be. You all right, DK?
Yeah, I just gotta grab my Chromebook charger.
Okay.
It's right here.
But
Just
what I will say, like they want to be an ACC school so bad. They were once in that conference because they had to in
they're
2020.
in the conference for every other sport, right? I thought they were in it for basketball.
Uh, basketball, they're ACC. Hockey, they're Big Ten actually.
Notice how in
But their other
every
sports, I think, are all ACC.
every other sport they're forced to join a
Yep, being a
conference.
conference. The problem that I have, it's like you are a Big Ten school. Like you're up in the Midwest. You're like the rest of the Midwest schools. You prefer the heavy run game, and you're not in a conference.
Yeah, I mean,
It just makes no sense. It's like they want to be ACC so bad. It's like you are a Big Ten school, realistically, but you just won't join.
yeah, I mean,
But I mean, they found their way in the national championship, and then after seeing what Ohio State did, their path to the Natty was just incredible. 42-17 against Tennessee,
it
41.
dominant is
Oh
the
yeah,
word I would use.
dominant all the way up, even in the national championship. Because I mean, they were up what 31-7,
Yeah,
and then almost let it come back. Almost did, but I don't think there was enough.
it's hard when your
Yeah.
offense has been in
Well,
it's been in that mode the entire time, and
But what I will give credit, it's like it shows that these 12-team playoffs, especially a team like Notre Dame, they didn't give Notre Dame their flowers when it's like, oh well, Notre Dame's path, like they wouldn't have made it in the 14 playoff either.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's like they want to, like people want to talk
like
about like Ohio State not like oh well they wouldn't have made it if it was a 14 playoff, but like again, everybody knew that this 12-team format was coming.
yeah,
Very like everybody knew it, and then everybody just like talks down because Ohio State would have made it only with
if
the 12.
if any other team would have won the college football playoff, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But because Ohio State won, they're like, they didn't win their conference, they didn't win their rivalry game. Now, I care about the rivalry game. It sucks that we lost to Michigan. I hate that. I hate that Ohio State lost to Michigan.
You know, I hate that
But
they say Ryan Day's 1-4 against Michigan. He's actually 2-4
yeah, I
because he
mean,
has the 2019 win, and I get it. That's Urban Meyer's, still Urban Meyer's
yeah, I
players,
mean.
but at the same time, he was the coach. He
Now,
won
here's
that
my
year.
thing. Ohio State they weren't good enough to win their rivalry game, which I care about the rivalry game, but I don't even give a shit that we lost to Michigan because we
No, they
won
won the
it
Natty.
was the national championship. But that's a controversial topic. Now, they didn't win their conference, didn't win their rivalry game, but they were good enough to somehow manage to win the national championship. Doesn't make it
I mean,
they're
the run
gonna
was
try to
like
discredit it. The run. That was the
hardest pass.
one of the hardest paths to the college football playoff, to the
Oh
national
yeah,
championship. And it's also crazy that Ohio State beat every team in the top 10 except for Georgia.
yeah, because
And yeah,
top 10 they beat Indiana, they beat Notre Dame, they beat Penn State.
they beat
I mean,
Oregon,
they beat Oregon,
they
they
beat
beat
Notre
Texas.
Dame, they beat Texas.
I mean, they didn't play Arizona State, but I don't think Arizona State was even ranked in the
No,
top
they
10.
weren't in the top 10. They were 12.
And neither was Boise.
No,
Yeah.
Boise State
So
was like 11 or something. But I mean, it's a teams don't do that anymore because now the Big Ten had a good year though.
oh yeah.
Big Ten runs college football.
Yes, this I mean this
This season, Big
oh yeah,
Ten
goes to the Big Ten.
owned college football, and all I care about is this season.
Oh, exactly.
Now it's been the SEC in the past, but why are we talking about the past 10 years and we can talk about last year?
Literally.
Especially for conference dominance. Like,
You know, also, I want to take this time. Shout out to the Indiana fans. Came at me about Ohio State when I made my hot take, and I proved these people wrong. Like I was right. At the end of the day,
I mean,
the
you
game was
didn't
38 to
technically you didn't prove anybody wrong. Technically, Ohio State proved them
yeah,
wrong.
exactly 38-15. Signetti, he remembers
Google him.
exactly. Just Google him. He's 10-2,
No,
or is he 11-2?
11-2. He lost 2 games.
Okay.
Now, go back to like week 5 when Brandon was like, nobody's beating Georgia,
And then chooses Bama,
and
and
then
then Georgia
no, and
proceeds to
then
lose.
Georgia proceeds to lose to Ole Miss, um,
Old
Notre
Miss,
Dame,
Notre Dame, and Bama for the three.
Bama. Yeah, I mean,
So he, that was the hottest take I think I've ever heard, saying nobody's gonna beat this Georgia team, and then proceeds to say, "Give me Bama, give me Bama," and then they proceed to go lose to Old Miss.
now we just recapped last season for the most part. Is um Now let's talk about there's some big transfer portal news and
Yeah,
another controversial topic. there are teams that were offering Cardinal Tate and Jeremiah Smith to enter the transfer portal, but they were offering them money to enter the transfer portal, which is tampering. They Now a lot of people are going to say Ohio State did the same thing, and th- it's it's partially true that they reached out to guys. Like now Will Howard was already in the portal.
Oh, good.
Caleb Downs was already in the portal. Judkins was going to enter the portal regardless. Judkins was going to enter the portal because um I heard some things were going down at Ole Miss, but
I
um
mean,
I
like
mean he
maybe that.
entered the portal, went on a visit to Ohio State, and then committed the next day. I mean, but no one ever came out and said, "Hey, here's $4.5 million to enter the transfer portal." I never really saw that in as headlines. And Ryan Day is saying that the NCAA needs to do something about it.
I mean, it's very true. And I would have to agree with you. Now,
Now, I
to all
think they
these
need to do
Michigan
some.
fans,
Yeah,
to all these Michigan fans talking about our $20 million roster, like I had someone come up to me and he was like, "See, I don't like that Ohio State made the national championship game because it shows what money can do." It's like, okay, keep a team that was already like very heavily senior led group of guys to stay.
now they had some guys come in. Like
I
they
mean,
probably
yeah.
gave some guys NIL to come in. Like again, Quinshon Judkins and Caleb Downs, I'm sure. But in his
On
recruiting
defense,
process,
there was only two guys on the defense that were in the transfer portal. That's David Ingbe and Caleb Downs.
David
Everybody else from Ohio State.
Igbenogsun's from uh, Syracuse, right? Uh,
Yeah, I think that's where he transferred from.
I think that's where he
No,
transferred
no,
from
he
too.
transferred from Old Miss.
Oh, okay.
No, that was a different
Different
corner.
guy, yeah. So
Yeah, but never played. And he also is coming back for his senior year, which makes sense.
it's, yeah, I mean, I just think that they need to do something about the transfer or the NIL rules, anyways. I mean, you shouldn't be able to just offer guys contracts. That's basically what they're doing right now. But anyways, uh, Caleb Downs. People are gonna say that Ohio State tampered Caleb Downs. Ohio
No,
State was second. It was Caleb Downs' second choice.
exactly.
And when Nick Saban retired,
He stayed. He actually stayed. Like he stated this himself. He said, "I stayed for like another 5 days or something like that after the transfer portal to see what was going on," and then he was like, or before he entered,
yeah, I mean,
and ultimately made that decision. Like I don't want to be here.
a lot of guys commit to Saban, and since Saban retired,
Exactly.
he's gonna go to his second best team, or it's the second team he wanted to go to. And I couldn't imagine Ohio State tampered with a backup quarterback. I mean, Will Howard was good and all, but he's a backup quarterback.
They didn't tamper that at all. There's just like no. Like Miami will make it very obvious. And Oregon. They'll make it very obvious who they're tampering for.
Yeah, Oregon,
Talk about bought, not build. They're just
Oregon,
buying
yeah,
everything. And it shows on the field like, see, buying your players ain't going to win you anything.
yeah. I mean, it's
I mean,
a lot of things in college football right now that are just
it's stuff that's got to be fixed. And then like the transfer portal days, because like kids, well not kids, because these adults, I don't know who went and thought, okay, well let's make the transfer portal these days, because that's when colleges, like when students are out for the winter break and for the next semester of college, and then it's like,
let's make there's basically they're making it all about money.
and the
They're
problem is
trying,
they need to fix that too, like the dates.
Yeah.
And then they also have another portal, like I believe it's at the end of the spring. So like you can just transfer out during the summer, or transfer out right when spring, because like a lot of kids get out, or a lot of students definitely get out like April, late April, early May. So I'm thinking that's when the portal opens up, and then summer ball, go transfer wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of things, but it's probably unbelievable like how many things went out of teams trying to offer. I would offer the greatest. Like I would offer like literally watching this kid in the national championship go crazy as a freshman. Like yeah, everybody, I would tamper too.
Yeah, I mean,
But it's like he ain't gonna leave. Like he's the starter. The only way for him, for Jeremiah to leave and Carnell Tate would be
if Brian
if they
Hartline leaves.
if Hartline leaves and maybe or if Day were to leave, then they'd be like, all right, I can't stay here.
But I don't I don't see why Jeremiah Smith would leave after having
Oh yeah.
one of the best freshman seasons of all time.
Broke a lot of Ohio State
Yeah.
records as a freshman,
The
which is
only
crazy.
reason I don't say the best is because there's one other guy who went crazy. I saw it the other day, but
Who
I forgot his name. He was a
from Ohio State?
Big NFL receiver. No.
Oh,
I don't remember who it was, but I know there's one other guy who
do you know what
I
team
know
he played for?
I saw it like two or 3 days ago, and it just
Oh,
went in, went out. But
that's all right.
yeah, I mean, he had one of the best freshman seasons of all time in Ryan Day's system, in Chip Kelly's system. I don't
Oh,
see
exactly.
why you would leave when the team is just figuring out what. Now, teams are going to game plan for him, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, for next year.
Like, don't play man coverage.
Notre Dame actually played a lot of like zone. They just again where they
With
were
the
trying to bracket the
with
one player,
yeah,
so another
it
player's
opens
open.
up Mbuka or.
Exactly.
But
I
then,
mean, Texas did very well of how
yeah,
to slow
well,
down.
Texas also has one of the best secondaries in the nation. So does Notre
Oh,
Dame.
exactly.
But Notre Dame's not a zone bracket system. They are a straight man-to-man, let the safeties run free system.
Exactly.
Texas runs zone. Jade Barron's a zone corner. Their safeties are zone safeties. They can run man, but
But that like secondary crew for Notre Dame is just gonna get better next year because
yeah.
like they have a lot of freshmen,
Now I hope
sophomores that
I
good.
hope Marcus Freeman learned that when the game's on the line, don't run man coverage against Jeremiah Smith.
I mean, they just lost their DC um to he went back to the Bengals.
Oh shit.
Yeah, bro had to go prove himself. Had to leave the Bengals, go to college, be like, see what I do, and then go straight back to the Bengals.
All right, well, so our first episode back in a while.
20 actually New Year. This is
New year, it's
so I'm gonna
2025.
definitely try and do better
Yeah,
with
again, we got busy as hell with school and
I
finals
just
and
lost track with stuff and just stopped caring.
so
But yeah, it's been a fun last month for us,
for real.
especially as Buckeye fans.
Yep.
So yeah, this was make
LRL
sure to like and subscribe.
season two opener.
Exactly. Like I will definitely do a better job with getting stuff out and just be more disciplined on myself about this stuff. But we all get busy, and luckily they don't have. I mean, you have morning workouts, but no.
Yeah, I got workouts, but nothing that'll like. I can always do the podcast anytime after 2 basically, or anytime after 4
Yeah.
probably if we're being realistic here.
Depends on the days we decide.
Yeah, I mean obviously it's not every day, but yeah.
Alrighty, well, this was the first podcast back in the year 2025, and starting off with hopefully for us as a fan perspective, yeah, we started out the year off with the banger,
The bang.
with an absolute dominant
With the
performance
national
against Oregon,
championship.
and then beat Texas, and then go win a natty. All right, make sure to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time. Peace.